I don't think that I would call it a whirlwind in terms of our relationship. Obviously, there have been layers attached to how public it has become.
A royal husband, a hidden legal move, and a wife left reeling in Montecito's silence. Prince Harry made a decision behind Meghan's back, one that could shatter their empire and rewrite the rules of their marriage. But instead of tears, Meghan responded with something far more dangerous. What she did next didn't just shake Harry, it sent a chill through Buckingham Palace itself. Is this the beginning of their end, or Meghan's boldest power play yet? The quiet storm. For months, something strange was happening. Prince Harry had been slipping quietly in and out of the UK, not with the usual paparazzi frenzy or public fanfare, but like a ghost in the shadows. No grand entrances, no press releases, just private charity visits, hushed conversations behind palace walls, and, most shocking of all, a discreet reunion with Prince William. But what stirred more whispers than Harry's mysterious return was who wasn't with him. Meghan, the woman who had stood beside him through royal storms and public crucifixions, was suddenly absent. Not once, not twice, every visit. She remained across the ocean, nestled in Montecito, curating her next act, relaunching American Riviera Orchard with all the polish of a woman, reclaiming her narrative. But while she was crafting her image as a California Duchess, her husband was across the Atlantic, making a move that would send ripples through both their worlds. It wasn't just a legal filing. It was a quiet, calculated blow. Harry had submitted paperwork that placed new restrictions on the use of the Sussex title, the very brand that had powered their empire, their name, their legacy, their leverage. With one stroke of the pen, he'd drawn a line that no one, not even Meghan, saw coming. And the fallout? It hit fast. Her brand, already teetering under trademark setbacks and delays, suddenly found itself in murky legal territory. The royal link they had leaned on for their Netflix mega deals, their Spotify millions, their global partnerships, was now tangled in red tape. A silent war had begun, and Meghan wasn't even in the room when the first shot was fired. But what stung the most wasn't the potential loss of millions. It was that, for the first time since that fairy tale wedding, Harry had made a monumental decision without her. No conversation, no united front, no whispered plan under California moonlight, just silence and a signature. The world had always questioned their bond. But now, behind closed doors, was Meghan wondering too? What had changed in Harry's heart? And why did he feel the need to act alone, behind closed doors? It happened on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning in Montecito. Sun streaming through the windows, the calm of coastal California wrapping the estate in quiet luxury. But inside, chaos was unfolding. A single message from Meghan's legal team shattered the peace like a thunderclap. Prince Harry had filed a document, not with her, not for her, but about them, and she'd known nothing about it. Meghan, who prided herself on being the strategist behind every headline, every deal, every polished moment of their post-royal life, was caught completely off guard. Within minutes, she was pacing briskly from room to room, phone glued to her ear, her voice sharp but composed as she demanded answers from attorneys just as stunned as she was. This wasn't some trivial legal oversight. It was a targeted restriction, one that could choke the commercial lifeline of the Sussex brand, their production company, Archwell, their Netflix future, and most personally, Meghan's beloved American Riviera Orchard, all suddenly found themselves floating in legal limbo. For a woman who had built her brand on elegance, precision, and control, it felt less like a misstep and more like betrayal, not from a rival, not from the press, but from her husband. The emotional punch landed harder than any financial threat. They had built their empire on unity. Every decision, every interview, every cause championed side by side. The world had seen them as unshakable, a couple who had walked through fire together, hand in hand. But this time, Harry hadn't extended his hand. He had moved in silence, and the silence was deafening. Friends say Meghan was shaken. Her calm exterior didn't crack, but something beneath it did. There were no Instagram statements, no press leaks, no public displays of fury. She simply went still, quiet, calculating. The same silence she had once used to survive the British tabloids. The same silence that shielded her during the darkest moments behind palace walls. This wasn't the end. Not for Meghan, but it was a line drawn in the sand. And now, questions echo through their sprawling California estate, like ghosts in a hallway. Why did Harry make this move in secret? Was it a desperate attempt to protect their legacy from royal interference? A quiet olive branch to his father back in London? Or was it something more unsettling, a sign that the prince once so certain in rebellion might now be reconsidering the cost? Whatever the reason, one thing was now heartbreakingly clear. The fairy tale had shifted, and the next chapter? It wouldn't be written by both of them. The silent treatment. When Meghan Markle goes silent, the world leans in. She wasn't always this deliberate, but years in Hollywood taught her how to command attention without saying a word. And the royal media machine only sharpened those instincts. So when she suddenly canceled appearances, stepped away from the spotlight, and let the cameras catch only absence, it wasn't retreat. It was intention. She knew exactly what silence could do. While tabloids churned out headlines and royal commentators speculated on marital cracks, Meghan said nothing. No tweets, no statements, no stage walks through Montecito. Just stillness. But behind closed doors, the Duchess wasn't folding, she was maneuvering. She made quiet calls to trusted allies, the same journalists who had once helped her shape her side of the Megxit story. And when her message finally came, it was only 12 words, 12 devastating words. I no longer need a royal title to share my truth. It wasn't just a response to Harry's legal filing. It was a declaration of independence, a line drawn in elegant, unshakable ink. Just like that, the story shifted. What once looked like a crisis between husband and wife now felt like a coronation. Meghan wasn't fading away. She was stepping forward on her own terms. And just as that message began rippling through the media, new rumors surfaced, louder this time. Her memoir, whispers of secret meetings with publishers, 7-figure offers, a potential bombshell that would make Harry's spare look tame by comparison. But this wouldn't be just another royal tell-all. This would be her voice, her journey from American actress to royal lightning rod, from palace pariah to global power player, from silenced duchess to best-selling truth-teller. Inside Buckingham Palace, the tension was palpable. They had weathered Harry's book. Even its harshest claims had been softened by his familiar pain. But Meghan, she was a mystery, the woman they never quite understood, the one who had watched, listened, and endured. And now, she was ready to speak. What had she seen in those palace corridors? What had she heard behind closed doors? And more terrifying still, what had she chosen not to say until now? Because if Meghan really was preparing to open her vault of secrets, the monarchy wouldn't just be facing another scandal. It would be facing a reckoning. The origin story revisited. To truly grasp the weight of this unraveling, we have to go back to where it all began, before the headlines of heartbreak and the whispers of betrayal. In the summer of 2016, two worlds collided, not on a red carpet or at a royal gala, but at an intimate dinner party orchestrated by fashion designer Misha Nanu. Meghan Markle was riding high on the success of her TV series Suits, balancing a thriving career, a personal lifestyle brand, and the kind of freedom most women only dream of. She was polished, independent, and completely in control of her narrative. Prince Harry, on the other hand, was still the rakish royal bachelor, known more for wild nights and cheeky grins and quiet charity work or serious commitment. But behind the charm was a man still haunted by flashbulbs, grief, and the unspoken pressure of being Diana's son. Over glasses of wine and casual conversation, something shifted. Meghan wasn't dazzled by his title, and Harry wasn't looking for someone who played the palace game. She saw through the palm to the man beneath, and he found in her a rare kindred spirit. Someone who knew what it meant to live under relentless public scrutiny, yet still burn with a desire to make the world better. From that night forward, a secret romance blossomed. Hidden meetings in tucked-away London hotels, weekend escapes to private estates. They carved out quiet moments of joy in a world that refused to leave them alone. For a few precious months, they lived outside the headlines, falling in love not as Duchess and Prince, but as two people clinging to a rare connection. When the news finally broke, the world reacted fast, and not kindly. The British public split almost instantly. Some saw a fairy tale, a modern woman breathing life into a tired institution. Others saw a threat, an outsider, an American, an actress. The old guard questioned her motives, her manners, her place. But on May 19th, 2018, everything seemed to fall into place. Meghan walked down the aisle alone, radiating grace and quiet power. Her dress, a symbol of restraint and rebellion, spoke volumes. The ceremony blended royal tradition with American soul. Gospel choirs sang beside robed clergy. Oprah sat near aristocrats. It was bold, modern, unapologetically different. And for a fleeting moment, it felt like history was changing. But the fairy tale glow was short-lived. Behind palace walls, unease began to simmer. Meghan's independence, once praised, was now framed as difficult. Her American work ethic was labeled demanding, and the same press that once fawned over her now circled like sharks, dredging up stories, spinning narratives, igniting feuds. Whispered reports of staff clashes and protocol breaches began to shadow every public smile. She had survived Hollywood, but this was something different. This wasn't just fame. It was a machine, the same one that had chewed up and spit out Princess Diana. And Meghan, for all her strength and savvy, was now trapped in its glare. The question no one dared ask out loud was suddenly impossible to ignore. Had the royal family embraced a modern woman, or simply braced for her undoing? The Great Escape, the cracks in the fairy tale, didn't appear all at once. They crept in slowly, like hairline fractures beneath polished marble, unseen by the public, but unmistakable to those looking closely. Behind the dazzling smiles, choreographed curtsies, and flawless appearances, Meghan was quietly unraveling. She had entered the royal family with grace, vision, and hope. But what she encountered behind palace gates wasn't a warm embrace. It was cold resistance. Her warmth, her confidence, her willingness to speak directly and act boldly, qualities celebrated in Hollywood, were seen as threats in a place ruled by tradition and quiet obedience. Stories began to swirl. Allegations of bullying, staff in tears, demands that broke royal protocol. Whether the claims were exaggerated or rooted in truth no longer mattered. The damage was done. She had been cast in a role she never auditioned for, the difficult Duchess. And the more she tried to fit in, the more it felt like the walls were closing in. Harry saw it all. The woman he loved, once radiant, self-assured, and full of purpose, was now shrinking beneath the weight of the same media circus that had hounded his mother into despair. He had promised himself, long ago, that he'd never let history repeat itself. And now, it was unfolding again. Only this time, the cameras were aimed at his wife. Something inside him broke. The loyal prince, once devoted to his family's legacy, was now faced with an impossible choice: uphold the crown or protect the woman who had given up everything to stand beside him. When the decision finally came, it didn't feel impulsive. It felt inevitable. On January 8th, 2020, the world gasped as Harry and Meghan posted a message that would rock the monarchy. They were stepping back, not retiring, not retreating, stepping back. A quiet phrase loaded with revolution. The headlines called it Megxit. But for Harry and Meghan, it was liberation. A public declaration that their happiness, their family, and their sanity were no longer up for royal negotiation. The palace was blindsided. Behind closed doors, the Sandringham summit was unlike anything royal insiders had witnessed in decades. The Queen, dignified and deliberate. Charles, tore between fatherly instinct and royal duty. William, reportedly incandescent. And Harry, standing alone for the first time, not as a spare, but as a man determined to protect his own. The outcome was a compromise in name only. They could keep their Duke and Duchess titles, but the HRH honorifics were stripped. Harry's military titles, symbols of his service and sacrifice, were taken away. The message was clear. If you walk away from duty, you walk away from honor. And yet, what came next looked a lot like freedom. California wasn't just a change of address. It was the beginning of a new life. Away from palace protocol, they launched Archwell, secured multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, and began building the legacy they chose. No titles, no restrictions, just purpose. Then, in June 2021, came Lilibet Diana, a name heavy with meaning. One part royal lineage, one part beloved memory. Her birth felt like a full-circle moment in that sunlit Montecito home. They finally had the family they dreamed of, far from the scrutiny that had nearly broken them. But even in that peace, one question lingered just beneath the surface. Had they escaped the institution, or had they simply traded one battlefield for another? The legal chess game. What most people don't see is how fragile Harry and Meghan's grip on their royal titles really is. On paper, they're still the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. But behind the scenes, it's a delicate dance. One misstep away from losing the titles that power their entire brand. The rules have always been murky. They were allowed to keep the titles, yes, but how they could use them commercially, that's where the tension lies. Every Netflix deal, podcast, or public appearance walks a razor's edge, with palace lawyers watching closely. It's not just personal, it's political. The removal of titles bill, quietly proposed in Parliament, only made things more volatile. It hasn't passed, but its existence alone is a warning. Their titles are not untouchable. And now, every move they make is weighed against the possibility of losing the Sussex name that fuels their income and influence. Sources say Prince William is pushing for tighter restrictions. His concern? That Harry and Meghan are profiting from royal prestige, while publicly criticizing the very institution that gave it to them. To the future king, that's not just unfair, it's dangerous. The financial risk is massive. Experts estimate the Sussex name adds millions to their value. Without it, they're still famous, but no longer royal. And Meghan knows it, which is why Harry's recent legal filing, limiting commercial use of the title, felt like a personal blow. At the same time, Meghan's American Riviera orchard is facing trademark pushback. Each setback reinforces a painful truth. Their royal past is both their greatest asset and their greatest liability, because what gave them their platform could still take it all away. The endgame, as whispers of Meghan's long-rumored memoir grow louder, Buckingham Palace is reportedly on edge. Unlike Harry's deeply personal spare, Meghan's book will be something far more disruptive. She wouldn't write as a prince or a son, but as an outsider who entered the royal inner circle, saw it from the inside, and was cast out when she dared to challenge tradition. Her memoir could expose the unspoken, private conversations, hidden power dynamics, and the institutional resistance she faced when trying to modernize an ancient system. For a monarchy still finding its footing under King Charles and preparing for Prince William's eventual reign, her story could hit like an earthquake. And the timing? Strategic. With Charles focused on reform and William stepping deeper into his future role, the monarchy is walking a delicate tightrope between tradition and relevance. Meghan's memoir, told with her sharp insight and emotional clarity, could reshape public reception at the most vulnerable moment in recent royal history. But here's where it gets complicated. Some insiders believe Harry's recent legal move, the one that limited commercial use of their Sussex title, wasn't aimed at Meghan at all. In fact, it may have been a shield, a preemptive defense. By creating legal distance between their business empire and their royal identity, Harry might have been trying to protect them both from future backlash, from Parliament, the palace, or both. It fits a familiar pattern. Harry has always cast himself as Meghan's protector, from that first public statement defending her from press harassment to their joint decision to leave royal life behind. His quiet legal filing, done without fanfare, could be his way of ensuring their legacy survives, even if the titles don't. But the silence between them now speaks volumes. Meghan has gone quiet. Harry has acted alone. And the world is left wondering, are they still playing the same game, or have they begun playing on separate sides of the board? Their children, Archie and Lilibet, are at the heart of it all. Though entitled to royal titles, their parents have kept those honors quiet, hoping to offer them something rare, a normal life. But depending on how this legal storm settles, the future may force a choice. Will their children grow up as Americans with royal roots, or as royals born into exile? The answer, like so much in this unfolding saga, may change everything. The crossroads. As we arrive at this crossroads in the Sussex saga, one thing is unmistakably clear. This isn't just another royal scandal. It's a battle between power and principle, between duty and identity, between the life they were given and the life they've chosen to build. Meghan Markle's evolution, from Hollywood actress to Duchess to independent force, embodies a modern rebellion against the role society demands we play. Her next move, whether a memoir or a moment of reconciliation, won't just shape her marriage. It will define a legacy. If she tells her story, it could be the reckoning the monarchy has long avoided, forcing an institution built on silence to finally confront its contradictions. But if she and Harry find a way to rebuild, it could mark a new chapter in their love story, one that proves some bonds are stronger than titles, stronger than tradition, stronger than the crown itself. The monarchy has weathered wars, abdications, and modern revolutions, but it's never faced someone quite like Meghan. She knows the power of media. She understands the weight of a royal name. And more than anything, she has nothing left to lose. That's what makes her so dangerous and so compelling. Because maybe, just maybe, Harry's secretive legal move wasn't betrayal. Maybe it was a quiet gift, a final act of protection. By legally separating their brand from their titles, he may have given Meghan the freedom to speak without burning down everything they built. Now the world waits. Will she choose revelation or reconciliation? Will she fight for the man she loves, or for the voice she's fought so hard to claim? Whatever she chooses, everything will change. For her, for Harry, and for a monarchy that never truly saw her coming. Because in the end, this isn't just a story about a duchess and a duke. It's about a woman who refused to be silenced, a man who chose love over legacy, and a royal institution learning that its greatest threat isn't scandal or politics. It's a woman with a story to tell, and no fear left in her heart. So, what do you think happens next? Will Meghan's memoir rewrite royal history? Or will the Sussexes find a way to come back stronger than ever? Drop your thoughts in the comment below. And don't forget to subscribe, because this royal saga, it's only just getting started.